Okay, so I think we are good there. Let me let Crystal in. Hi, Crystal, welcome. And then let me queue up. IG Live. Okay, I'm gonna hit play and we are ready to roll. All right. Well, Dr. Sarah, welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be back. So thank you for having me once again.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have you. And so today we are back talking about mindfulness and how mindfulness matters. As we know, it is the month of May. We're heading towards the end of May. I can't believe it. The month is going by so fast.
Yes.
I was telling a colleague the other day, I was like, I said, I know we're all, kind of still in isolation and doing quarantine. I said, but honestly, my days are moving. I feel like they're moving just as fast sometimes.
Right.
Yes.
And especially, I don't even know, like, when the weather, like, to keep up with the weather like I used to, or the time.
Yes.
It's like, wow, everything is just moving rather quickly. And especially with the time where everything is starting to open up too. So I can't wait to really talk about that.
Right. Yes. So I think, we are moving towards states starting to open back up, and, in a way that is definitely a positive thing. But I know, there's kind of this elephant in the room, if you will, where people are also starting to think about, how do we now approach this new norm? How do we now approach life, business, just all of it together, right? How do we approach it now that things are starting to open up? And I'll be honest, I kind of have mixed feelings. I'm not really like, woohoo, but I'm also not like, I fall somewhere in the middle, because there's so many unanswered questions. And I'm sure, I'm sure a lot of people are feeling that way right now.
Right. You're not alone on that. And let me tell you, I did a poll on my timeline on Facebook, and I said, well, when do you plan to go back to business as normal? Like, are you going to go back to the live events? Are you going to go to the football stadiums? Like, when do you plan to go back? And so on average, the people on my timeline pretty much said 2025. They're not getting out.
Oh, wow. 2025. Oh my gosh.
And I said, well, you taught me. I said I was going to at least give it to 2022, but okay, that's fine. Everybody, 2025 it is, because, you have to maintain your mental psyche. And the problem has been, Jon'll and everyone, the fact that it seems like we just don't know that uncertainty. We don't do well. And that's just human nature. We don't do well when it is uncertain. And when we look at the different social media outlets or the media outlets, when we try to find out from the government, the powers that be, what in the world is going on, and it seems like everyone is still not on the same page, it just adds to that level of anxiety and uncertainty, to the point that now we have to take matters into our own hands and figure out what is the best thing for us to do for ourselves and for our loved ones. So it's understandable that there's a mixture of yes and no when we don't know, when there still it isn't clear about a cure or a vaccine, or if we had all those elements in place to know that we know, then that would be a different story. But because it seems like everyone isn't on the same page, it's understandable that people are still mixed with, well, what is the best thing for me to do?
Yeah, that's so, that's so true. And I was just talking to my husband the other day, and I said, I'm a firm believer that communication is so important, right? And communication needs to be funneled from the top down.
Exactly.
Especially when as it relates to leadership and people following, kind of following what directive, and it needs to be communicated from the top down. And I said,
exactly.
I don't see that happening. And
Right.
like you just said, you look around and you see so many varying stories.
Exactly.
I see a small business owner on one corner that has opened up, and they're like, hey, we're back, we're back at it. We're open for business. And then literally across the street, I see another small business owner who's like, yeah, no, we're not open and we're not
Right.
going to be open, So it's
Exactly.
like, what is the process? What is the protocol?
Exactly. And that's where it really leaves it to us to make that determination. And that's a great thing, because three things that as human nature would have it, the fact that because we lost control, lost connection, lost sense of purpose. When we lose those three elements, then it's understandable that people are going to react as primal, survival mode, at a loss, uncertain. That's where it becomes a mental, emotional, physical disturbance, that we can't seem to convey or communicate. And then we are totally at a loss and we just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So if now we have that sense of control in terms of, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to take matters in my own hands. When we get that sense of control back, that really puts us in an advantage to make the right decisions and choices. Because now it is a matter of our livelihood, our lives, and our lifestyles that are in stake. And we need to now decide what will be the best decision for us to make. So I always say that whatever you go with your discernment, because your gut really never lies, whatever you feel that is best for you and your family, you go with it. If you have the peace about it, you go with it. Right. And if you find that, you know what, I don't really want us to go out right now, then let that be the answer. You don't have to compare it to the next person. Everybody's making their own decisions. And it's not a matter of looking at, well, let me just check out Jon'll, see what she's doing. If she decides to go out, then I will. If you're not feeling that, if you're trying to force yourself to do something that just doesn't resonate or it's not in alignment with yourself, then reconsider and do what you feel is best for you and your family. So sense of control, this is the opportunity to look at what we can control, and that will put us in an advantage to make the best decision possible for this time. So
That's good. Yeah. I mean, control is obviously something that many of us like to have, especially as it relates to the creative, the creative industry. We're used to kind of being in control over our business and and to a degree, I know it sounds crazy, but we think we're in control over our lives too. Some yes, some no, but I like the way that you broke that down. So it almost sounds like we've got maybe three buckets of people, if you will. You've got the folks who are going to say, hey, I'm ready to get back at it, and they're going to go for it, right? Then you've got the folks that are like, you go for it, I'm gonna wait. they like that. I call them the round three people. They're like, okay, I need a couple rounds so I can see you out there. Right. And then if you dip your pinky toe in and you're okay, then I think I can go. Right. Then you have the folks who are like, yeah, no, the 2025 people, right? Who are like, yeah, I don't care how many of y'all go out there. I'm just not doing it, right? Exactly. Like they're the ones who are like, I don't care if I have a life jacket on and you tell me I'm not going to drown. I'm just not getting in that water. So, so I feel like that also breaks down to some of your mental, the way that you kind of drive things mentally as well. Can we talk a little bit about that, just in terms of your mental wellness and how you kind of adapt yourself to which one of those groups of people you are, and what that means by maybe the way you're perceiving things or thinking about things.
Okay, great word, perceive. This is all based on perspective, based on your standpoint, your vantage point on how you make your decisions. And I was going to say, maybe Jon'll, you probably should ask your audience, hey, you know, which bucket are you? You know, are you the 2025? Are
That's
you
true.
the ones like, you know,
y'all
what?
tell me which bucket y'all are in. Are y'all the bucket 1 people, the bucket 2, or the bucket 3? So remember, the bucket 1 folks are the folks who are like, hey, I'm ready to get out there and go for it. You know, the bucket 2 people are like, I'm gonna need a little time so I can see what the bucket 1 folks are gonna do.
Right, exactly.
And the bucket 3 people are like, yeah, no, I'm not coming up out this house. Like, I don't care what you say.
Exactly. Jon'll, which one are you?
You know, I think I probably am the bucket 2. I'm probably in there with the bucket 2 folks. You know, while most of the time I usually, and this is the crazy thing, most of the time I'm usually the bucket 1, right? I'm usually like, hey, let's do this. I mean, I'll even give you a great example when we first came into the pandemic, right? I mean, like my immediate reaction was to jump in and figure out what do we do? Like, let's figure out how we make something happen. How do we jump into action? How do we, you know, arm ourselves with what we can do, right? So I guess I'm usually that bucket 1, but it's oddly enough, I'm like a bucket 2 person. I'm like, okay, I need to hang back a little bit and see what this is gonna look like.
What do you think shifted? Not to put you on like the counseling couch.
Yeah,
I wonder what shifted for you, Jon'll.
Langley got me in the hot seat. You know, I think, I'll be honest, I think it's a little bit of fear. You know, I think it goes back to what you just said, which is the control factor, right? Wanting to have a little bit of control, and even though, in a sense, yes, we do have control over, like you said, how we kind of manage our own house or our own home and what we're going to do in our home. I think the control part is not being able to control what I'm going to be met with when I get out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. How did that feel? How did that make you feel to now just admit that maybe it's just a little bit of fear? And the control.
I feel like this person on the inside just like cried a little bit, like,
Because see, the same thing as what you said, Jon'll, is really what perhaps the audience are thinking as well. You know, it's like none of us are exempt, and we all are pretty much feeling the same way in some form or fashion in one of those 3 buckets, one of them. And it is the fact that, you know, we always look at control as being a bad thing, but that's a part of human nature. And there's a reason behind why we control, like you just said. The fact of, okay, you know what? I just don't know which way this is going to go. I have a family to think about. I have, you know, certain things and certain elements and circumstances that I have to consider for me to then decide. It's not just about me. I have to think about others. So perhaps that is what the driver was for you to say, you know what? I'd rather have the control. This is what I do in my profession, you know, to have everything, my ducks in a row. And so it's okay. The thing is that it is okay with whatever decision we make. For those who are like, you know what, yeah, control is not my thing. You know, I just go with the flow. But you know what, you go ahead first. I see how you do. If you come back alive, then all right, I'll go out there. And if you're not, then you know, then that's my answer. I'm going to stay put. So if you're in that bucket, okay.
We're gonna hope they come back though. We're gonna hope they come back.
Right? We don't want any ill intent on anyone. But if that is you, where you like, you know, I'd rather test the waters by way of watching somebody else. You know, kind of like how I grew up in my household with my brothers, and I saw how, you know, me and my youngest brother, it was like 6 years apart between me and my older brothers and me and my younger brother. We would watch my brothers and, you know, see how whatever they did and determine what we would do. So we saw them make a bad move and the result was they got a spanking or a beating. We was like, okay, we ain't doing that.
Right, exactly.
Right? So, you know, but if they got something, they got a good reward for it, for whatever they decided to do, we was like, me and my brother John, like, John, we're going to do that. So it's like you're testing the waters, bucket number 2, folks, right. And it's okay. You want to see if the government or the leadership is going to be on the same page. You want to see if, you know, they received, you know, got a vaccine and now everything is in place. It's okay to be okay with that. It's okay to want that extra assurance for you to make that decision. And
right.
bucket number 3, if you like myself, I'm in the bucket 3, 2025. Look, I'll see y'all in 2025.
Y'all just never coming back out.
Like, you know what? I don't care what you do in bucket 1 and bucket 2. But me and mine are going to stay in here, keep our behinds here until further notice. Because that's the ones who are pivoting. It's like, you know what? For those who are business owners, you're like, I will say this for myself, watching all these big, gigantic corporations who made all kinds of money, but now they really weren't prepared for the pandemic as well. And now they're looking for bailouts and they're looking for some type of tax break or whatever the case it is.
That's a good
but
point.
wow, they weren't prepared. So us small business folks, well, what are we supposed to do? Then this is where you learn from this situation. You have to ask yourself, everyone, what have you learned during this pandemic? And how was it serving you, and how are you going to use it to your advantage? Are you going to pivot? Are you going to now transition? Are you going to make sure that you're prepared to be a traditional business owner as well as now using, the virtual means? Like, this is your opportunity to now do something different to get a different result, as opposed to doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So that said, any bucket that you're in is perfectly okay. You're doing what is best for you, because based on your perception, based on what your reasons are, and no one can take that away from you. I always encourage everyone, especially with my clients, that your feelings are valid, and you have to go with what is in alignment with yourself for you and yours. So
that's good. I just it's so funny. You almost literally said a quote that I just posted today, where I said, you have a choice. Like right now, you're faced with a choice to either evolve or repeat.
That's good.
Like that, like that's it, right? Because I feel like you're either evolving, like, hey, like you said, I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna pivot and shift, or I'm going to make things different, in essence, like not different as in you're doing something different, like you're starting a whole new business, but the business that I have will not look the same anymore. Right. Or you're going to repeat it, and I mean, I don't want to say repeat as a negative thing, but I do think that if somehow you come out of this and absolutely nothing has changed for you, I kind of feel like you're an anomaly, because this has touched each and every one of us in a very different way, but it has touched us, so you have to be able to receive that and then do something with it.
Exactly.
My question for you, Dr. Sarah, is if you are in that bucket 3, like if you are the person who's like, you know what, I'm just not ready to come out and I don't know when that'll be. What happens when you have other life circumstances? Like, I mean, the reality is that we all have bills and we all still have to make a living. And, we are concerned about how we're going to do that and how we're going to continue to put, food on the table or pay bills or things like that. So, you're also, kind of conflicted in that way. And that definitely may cause some of those feelings to creep in. What's your suggestion or kind of what's your take on that?
Sure. And that's a valid question. Many, many people, especially those that I counsel, have asked that question. What am I supposed to do? I have family, I have mouths to feed, I have to put, food on the table, I have bills to pay. The stimulus check isn't doing but so much. So the answer to that is a few things. So I want to kind of preface and set up the stage a little bit. So it's amazing. I have books everywhere. I just journal all the time. So I have like journals all around me, and depending on how the conversation was going to go, determine which book I was going to pull out.
I love it. So, prepared. She's prepared.
So one thing that in listening to, kind of coupling the mental health expertise, my skills, learning, life lessons, experience, as well as those who I counsel. One thing I want to read is, do you know that we are great and greater when we are faced with adversity. And a lot of times, because of the fact that we were talking about this earlier, Jon'll, how we, in this pandemic, we really just didn't know what to do. We were faced with uncertainty, fear, loss, a whole new world that we just don't know what we're going into. Mm-hmm. And we've been distracted pre-pandemic. We don't call them distractions, but nevertheless they were, because when they seem to have been stripped away, we lost control over how we conduct ourselves, going to work, doing certain things, having outlets. But nevertheless, those kept us from really coming to know who we are. We think that we know ourselves. There's a little bit more about us that we have yet to tap into.
Yes.
And this pandemic really had opened our eyes. Let me say something even funnier with that. Look, first of all, this is not funny. You look amazing. I love your headscarf. And so I said, you know what? I knew that I was going to be on your broadcast. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put it on mine, right?
Yes.
And I didn't know how creative I could be to make do with this. Look, I had got this scarf like in October of last year. Never worked. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make it do what it do today.
Yes.
You know what? These eyebrows, girlfriend, audience, look, I'm really want to be real, okay? These nails, it's like, I was like, okay. I remember when I had my nails done back in January. These are like January or February nails, and they have not been touched. But I said, you know what? They already grew. Like the whole thing should be off by now. But I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and make them look like tips. I'm going to go ahead and put like clear on the bottom and keep the top, whatever.
I know that's right. We coming out of here whole new people, inside and out. Okay.
My point is that, my God, in the face of adversity, breeds great opportunity of you coming to know who you are. Mm-hmm. So yes, in plain view, because you can say, okay, yeah, that sounds great, Dr. Sarah, but still I got food, I got bills to pay and food to put on the table. This is the opportunity to find out where your resilience is. Mm. My God, we have gone through so many things. You can think about all the things that you've been through before this, and you didn't know how the heck you was going to get out, but you got out of it. You were able to get out before at other times. You're going to be able to get out of this as well. What has to happen is a few things. And this may sound philosophical. It may not be the 1, 2, 3 step that you need or you think that you need, but I'm going to tell you what you actually need so that now the answer can come to you. Because the answer is always within us. God would not allow or leave us destitute or without and not being prepared. He wouldn't do that. We are also created and have been given and provided with every provision necessary when we were first thought of, before we were thought of. He given us everything necessary to deal with whatever we have to do. And that's biblical, that's word. He gave us a means of escape. And that escape is whatever those tools that we were given before the foundation of the world for us to be able to handle something like this. Yeah. God would not leave us without. So the first thing you have to think about is, you know what? What have I done before in times past when I had some great adversities happen in my life? How did I get through it? You may not remember. This is the time. This is a homework assignment right now. You need to go ahead and start journaling. Chronicle what is going on right here, right now, so you can have a point of reference, for one, for yourself, but two, for the next generation, so that we can pass down the legacy, or this is what we've done to help them to know what to do if and when they go through their own situation.
Yes. Okay, because I can see that journal right now, like telling them about. Do you remember? Oh no, I'm sorry, you weren't even here when. Right. Let me tell you about a time when. I mean, those are going to be some powerful stories.
Exactly. Sure. So many books that can be created. Look right there. That's money right there. You could be writing books right now, and you using that because hey, there are people who just don't know what to do. And the fact that you think that you don't know or have nothing to provide or to give to this world, oh my God, you can write whatever's going on. Y'all have people who are waiting in line to hear your story, your message. They're looking and reading you right now on what you are doing during this time. And that's giving them life. That's empowering them. So write this stuff down on what is going on. So then now you have that as a point of reference of encouragement on what to do. my point is, first and foremost, look at what you've done in the past. Look at your successes. Look at your wins. What did you do before when you thought that you weren't going to make it? When you didn't have that, enough money to put food on the table. Yes, everything had been closed down. So what? There are so many opportunities. Y'all may have heard this before, but there are so many people who, birth millionaires and billionaires during this time because it's an adversity. And in great adversity, there's such great opportunity. So you have to now dig deep within yourself. You get quiet, you get still, you pray, you start to meditate, you start writing the ideas down, you start getting inspired, and you look at what things are you able to do within your own volition, because when you do think about that, that's going to give you the control. Remember, as human nature has it, we are ones that want control, all of us. So now look at what you can control. Look at your successes, and then look at what you can control. And in that, when you're able to look at what you are able to control, you had time to meditate, you had time to really get quiet and still, and to let the inspiration and the ideas come. Those are the tools.
Dr. Sarah, you about to make me shout. You about to make me shout.
And around if you need to.
It's not okay. It's not even Sunday yet. But seriously, this is so good because you're right. Like I read something. I think it was in a book. I read something that was very similar about just adversity, like how we look at adversity as a bad thing, but it's actually the thing that makes us deliver our best. Best. And it's so true. I'm sure, like you said, we all can recall times where we were, in the midst of adversity and we were like, no, it didn't feel good at the time. And no, we didn't want to be in it, but when we were coming through it, and once you come out on the other side of it, you're like, oh my gosh, it just grows you and stretches you in a way that nothing else can, right? Because you have to succumb to it. So I love that you started there, because that is beautiful. And I would say right now, every single one of us in a way is in the midst of some sort of adversity as it relates to this pandemic. So that's universal, and that's so good.
Yes. I mean, it may not be ideal in terms of, well, what do I do? And maybe I don't have this, and maybe I don't have the tools and the knowledge and the skills and the education. Come on, y'all. Let's just stop that. Let's stop respectfully. Let the thoughts come in terms of all the negative talk that goes into your head to support the negative thoughts and the fear. Okay, let it have its moment. And then after you get through that, you start to question it. You try it, you prove it, you challenge those thoughts. And then look at what you can control once again. Because look, you got to get into hustle mode. You're going to do what you have to do. When you face with adversity, remember those times when you had to go gangster a few times.
She said go gangster.
Your family. You did what you had to do. Things that you didn't want to do. We're not talking about illegal and all that, but whatever. Right. Look, I'm not here.
Let's clarify. Let's clarify, Dr. Sarah.
Whatever. Look, if I can really tell y'all my story. But anyway, you do what you have to do. And you get into that mindset, into that beast mode. Like, you know what? I'm going to do whatever it takes, and whatever is necessary. And then it's like, it just shifts your mindset and your perspective from worry and fear to now, what are we going to do? So that's why I said, first of all, if you need that empowerment, you got to sometimes encourage yourself. They're like, okay, you know what? How did I win before in times past? Things that I did not think that I can get through, I got through. Okay, I don't remember how I got through it, so I'm going to start journaling from now on so I can keep track and record of what I've done, so that whenever I face something like this again, then I'll know what to do. So that's going to be your blueprint and your compass. And then the next thing after all of that is that you start to write your ideas down. Like I said, pray, meditate, start focusing. What's a great idea too is start to look at, this is where it's not about comparison, but you look at other people who are actually seemingly doing okay. You look at what they're doing. That's a great hack, way of hacking. Look at what they're doing. How are they making things happen? There are plenty of opportunities out there that you think that doesn't exist because it's either not convenient or we don't think we can do it. But look, sometimes you got to do what is necessary for the time that you're in. Not so much of, okay, this is something I would not do. But you have to understand this situation in and of itself now calls for some measures to be taken. Like, you know, these are unprecedented times. So you have to now consider accordingly for the time, what is necessary to then now start to bring whatever money in to give you that peace of mind. I had to go back and do a couple of things in regards to something that was inconvenient, and I didn't want to do it. I kept, you know, pushing it back, and I said, I don't want to do this. But then I said, you know what, for what it is right now, for my peace of mind, let me do what is necessary. And I tell you the truth, that temporary inconvenience actually was superseded. Well, it didn't supersede. It was overshadowed with the fact that I have peace of mind, that now, as I care for my almost 80-year-old dad, which his birthday is tomorrow, to make sure that he's taken care of, that I thought about him and I thought about myself, and I said, you know what, for, you know, my mom would want me to make sure that he's okay. So when I'm telling y'all the process, you have that mindset, you have that focus, you have that intention on what is the bigger goal, what is the bigger tension right now. And then the ideas and inspiration will come. And I tell you the truth, that peace that comes with it is like none other compared to the inconvenience or all those negative thoughts that was trying to tell you to do something different.
Right. And let me go back to something you said real quick too, which I think, you know, hopefully this is something that people were doing even before, like pre-pandemic, but especially now, which is surrounding yourself with people who can inspire you, and surrounding yourself with people, you know, I remember my mom always said, you know, winners want to hang around winners. Like go look at people who are innovating. Go look at people who are creating. Go look at people who are, you know, keeping that positivity. Go look at people who are like, you know what, I'm about to pivot so quick. One of my creative friends out there, she does, I'm just going to shout her out real quick. Shout out to Calson Hoyle, because she does basically molecular food and cocktails. And so she does these at events, you know, and so of course right now people can't gather. And so, you know, she's like, okay, well, so clearly I can't be at an event where I can do this, because part of it is just seeing her create the actual cocktail, right? So we did a webinar together. We did like a cocktails and conversations, and then it sparked an idea. She was like, well, what if and she actually used the group right there on the webinar. She said, hey, let me ask you something. If I were to package this up, put this in bottles, you know, give you all the equipment, put it in a box, give you the directions, and ship it to you, is that something you would, you know, that you would purchase? Everybody said a resounding heck yeah. You gonna send me liquor, you know?
Right?
You're like, wait, you gonna send me alcohol in a box? That all I gotta do is put it together. Like, come on. That's like the happy hour. So everybody was like, yeah. So like literally within a week, she got her stuff together, put it together, packaged it up, branded it up, and shipped it out. And I mean, sold out within 2 hours.
Look at that.
I'm like, you gotta know that, like you said, there are people still moving, still doing, still creating. And those are the people that I want to be around. Those are the people that I want to look at. I look at those people all day long, because that's what is going to inspire me to keep myself moving and keep myself going and keep myself creating, right? So that, like you said, we can kind of drown out the negative and replace that with the positive.
Exactly. That's dead on. That is how you now move yourself and position yourself, and shifting to now having the right winner's attitude. I posted today on my page, I said, surround yourself with winners and watch yourself win. See, you have to have that blueprint. Surround yourself with winners and watch yourself win. Because you have to understand how the psyche works, right? Everything that we do operates from a subconscious level. It's automatic. If you drive a car, when you first started driving, Lord have mercy, the time I drove a car, when I had to take my license test, and you know, you got the 9 and the 2, or however it's supposed to be, you know, you still like making sure you got the seatbelt on, you making sure that you got the, you know where the blinkers are, you know how everything works, because you're so focused on making sure that you pass that test. And then it's on like popcorn when you pass it. Now you're driving with one hand, leaning back. But the point is that now you are so now an autopilot when it comes to driving. You're able, if you don't have to be like me, you know, doing your makeup, you know, driving, texting. But anyway, the point is that it's automatic. And so therefore, how we operate in life really is automatic until we bring the subconscious to the conscious. And when we do that, now it puts you in a position to look at how you really are thinking. Those negative self-talks that we do that has us to self-sabotage, that have us to now struggle with imposter syndrome and all that stuff, you're going to default to that because that's all you know. You don't have anything to replace it until you now decide to replace it with something positive. And how do you do that? You now surround yourself with winners. Look at other people and don't worry about, I struggled with this at one point, you know, looking at other people and comparing, like, wow, she's doing better than me. Wow, she's making all that money. Oh, goodness. One more screenshot of the fact that she made another, you know, $100,000. It's like, I would look at that because what is really going on is not so much that we always talk about we're hating on people. That's true when people hate, but it's because of how it makes us feel. You know, it's not about that person. We're projecting how we feel about ourselves. We're upset with the fact that we're not where we're supposed to be.
That we're not doing.
Right. But rather, instead of concerning yourself with that, shift your mindset. Make the decision to now look at what are they doing that now you can do even better. You know, and to the point that is to your advantage. Because now what you are doing, you are creating something called choice. Now you can decide if you want to continue to keep doing what you've been doing and getting the same result and being insane, or now you're going to look at how can you parlay this? How can you make this work to my advantage? Because remember, the goal and the intention is not about anything else at this moment. For you to now put food on the table and get your bills paid and all that, the intention is you winning. So if you have to surround yourself indirectly, if you got to be a lurker or a looker, how do they call it, looker-loo or
looky-loo, lurker.
So you got to troll somebody. Do what you have to do, okay? This is the time, okay? Because
Dr. Sarah gave y'all permission to go and troll. Just go be a troll.
Go ahead and do it, you know? And you look at behind the scenes, okay, the back end, how can you make that work for you? But the point is that, what am I saying, everyone? That you have it in you. You are resilient. You made it through before, you will make it through again. We can give you the 1, 2, 3 steps. We can tell you what works and what will work, but everybody is different with their situation. So you got to make it fit and customize it for yourself. And the best strategy ever is to, again, make that decision first and foremost that you're going to now set the intention that, look, I'm going to do what is necessary for me and mine to win. I'm going to put food on the table. You got to speak positive. I'm going to put food on the table. We're going to be just fine. We are going to be secure. You have to speak positive to your situation and what you want to see. And then you journal it so you can chronicle, so you can look back and have a point of reference to now remind yourself, because right now, all you're seeing is all the doom and gloom and the negativity. So what else are you going to get other than doom and gloom and negativity? If that's all that's surrounding you. So rather, you got to create what I talk about in my ebook. I talk about creating the calm in chaos. Create your own calm.
Yeah,
and
that's
that
good.
Is exactly how you do it, is to now make that opportunity to now make yourself win. Look at other people, how they're doing it. Look at what you're able to do and what you can control, and just go with it.
Yeah, that's really good. Especially with, you know, what you mentioned about just don't feed yourself, you know, the negative. Make sure you're being intentional about that. You know, I know for one, I stopped looking at the news. Like I had to turn it off. Like I'm no longer, like I made a decision to say I am no longer watching this. And I even put, you know, I stopped watching it on, you know, on TV, but I even put parameters as to when it could pop up on my phone, you know, and, you know, all kind of just ways to block it out, because I knew that was not healthy for me. And that if I was going to continue to be productive, then I had to weed out the things that were going to be counterproductive, you know, for me. So I love that you mentioned that. So let's shift into the post, especially as it relates to, okay, now that states are opening back up, we know that there are going to be measures and parameters and things that are going to be a part of this new norm. Like, we know that right now, if you're out, it's highly recommended and suggested that you're wearing a mask, you know. Some don't want to wear a mask, and that has been highly debated, right? Like, I've seen everything from quit being selfish to you know, stop mass shaming. Like, I've seen it all. I didn't even know there was such a thing. Wow. But I think that, you know, both sides have, you know, both sides, they have their point to whomever the person is who feels that way. Right. But how do we kind of move through our psychosis of, now when we go out, we have to follow these certain parameters. You know, we have to have the mask on. We need to make sure, you know, we have, you know, gloves even sometimes if we're handling things, because we don't know about surfaces, and, you know, and then we still have to make sure that we're distancing, you know. So I know that that can also do a lot to, you know, just to our mental wellness, and you know, especially for those of us who struggle with anxiety and things like that, then that can kind of create some of that, stir some of that up. What are your thoughts on, you know, people who might be struggling with that?
Well, I don't know, because I'm in the bucket 3. Remember, I'm not coming out to 2025.
Oh, that's right, Dr. You said you're not coming out.
I'm just being funny, y'all. I'm just
you said you're not coming out for at least a good 5 years. I forgot.
Be like that bird. What was it? What was that movie called? Where you had the black Sandra Bullock.
I know exactly what you're talking. Birds. When it birds.
They should put that in the comment section. Come on, y'all, help us out.
Right, I know. I was like, oh my gosh.
Like, you know, look, it's gonna be 5 years later, and you know, it's like I got a whole new family and everything.
Blindfold.
No, what you have to do, everyone, first of all, it goes back to what we talked about earlier. You know, do what is best for you. Because these are the rules. If you're going out and these are the rules, then you have to abide to them. Okay. You can fuss, you can cuss, you can vent, you can moan, you can do all that, but make sure that you do what is required for us to do. I saw the debates a lot on social media, and it wasn't a debate. I can be neutral. It depends on what the conversation is about. But as far as, there was this one who was like, you know, this is like slavery. You know, this is like against our rights and things like that. And the person wasn't a person of color. And I saw how it was really, really impacted people who were like, okay, that's kind of going too far. And then I took the time to try to understand the perspective of everyone, trying to be objective. And it came down to the point of this one thing: do what is within your wheelhouse in terms of what you can control. We cannot control anybody's perspective and ideas. You can only do what is best for you. It's now a requirement when we go out to certain places. So you don't have to go to that place. This is what we were saying to that particular person. Like, you know, I refuse. I'm going to boycott that place. I refuse to go to that place. If they're making me to wear a mask and all that, that's against my civil rights. Well, you don't have to go to that place. Control what you can. This is not the time to now, honestly, respectfully, you have to really decide where you want your energy to go, how you want your energy to be, you know, to spend your energy on, or your time on. What if it is required, so you have to do what's necessary, adapt to what's going on. Perhaps this is going to be temporary, and we'll see how it goes, but you're going to have to learn how to adapt and to adjust. And this is what better time now than right now to start adapting and adjusting, to deal with it. How you feel is how you feel. Your feelings are valid. Even that person's feeling was valid, because there was something underlining for that person as to why they felt the way they felt about the situation. You know, like, all right, I feel like my civil rights are being taken. It's always something that's precipitating the reason why we behave and think and react the way that we do. So the answer to this is, it's required, so do what is required. Control what you can't control. No longer put your energy on what you cannot control. Put your energy and focus on what you can. Because when you do that, you're going to get more of it. You're going to attract more opportunities that put you in control, and it's going to put you in an advantage and leverage that. So now it's going to be a win for you and your family. Remember, it's the intention. The focus has to be exactly on that. Adapt and adjust accordingly, and start to now create the calm and chaos. Create your reality now. That's the difference, everyone. Jon'll, everyone, that's the difference. Before, we were automatically just drifting. We were automatically just going on autopilot pre-pandemic. Then COVID-19 pandemic happened, and we're all up in arms. It impacted all of us all over the world, and we didn't know what to do. Now we kind of got, adjusted a little bit, dealing with it in our own way, getting creative. This is the opportunity right now to up level on your control, to up level in your faith, to up level in your resilience, and use this opportunity to create calm in chaos. Create your new normal and make it fit accordingly to you, your life, your lifestyle, your livelihood. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, that's good. I do think I like the way that you really kind of have turned it into, hey, this is an opportunity for you to kind of shift things the way you need to, right? Like if there were things before this that maybe you didn't like or didn't want, as a part of your environment or your atmosphere, like now is the time to make those changes, right? Because we are in a position to be able to make those changes,
Exactly.
to be quite honestly. So I think from that standpoint, I really love that. It's almost like a rebirthing,
Yes, that's good.
It's I think if we take it, hopefully if we look at it from that standpoint and that perspective, I know there are definitely changes that that I have made and am still in the process of making. But I think if we look at it from that perspective, it definitely hopefully shifts us into a position of feeling like we are, more in control of things and less kind of out of control,
Right. Exactly.
What about things that we may find ourselves grieving, right? Because I know there's been, with all of the changes and, just having to be in quarantine and even still coming out of this, you have things like right now is graduation season, and we have so many graduates who weren't be able to experience that. And even post this, they won't get that time back. So what about people who even post COVID may be still grieving the loss of the things that couldn't happen, I think that's hard.
Yes, it can be hard. And it has to be treated accordingly through grief and loss. So excellent point, Jon'll. The fact is that we are experiencing, and we're going to experience two things. Global grieving and loss, and also global PTSD. Because of the fact that this has been a trauma for all of us. And we have to adjust accordingly. That's why it's so important to see when you find that, I mentioned this in my program, when you find that if you are at a loss, if you cannot function in your day-to-day activities for 2 weeks or more, 2 weeks to 30 days, then it's time to consider a mental health therapist like myself, so that you can now know the tips, the tools, the strategies to work through the trauma, unearth whatever the limitations that's going on with you, so that you can function accurately and deal with the pandemic and post-pandemic. If you find that you are okay, it's been sporadic, you have your moods, you have your fits, okay, but it hasn't been like persistent and consistent for 2 weeks to 30 days.
Yeah, because we all a little emotional right now.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Yeah.
I think we experience emotions by the seconds right now instead of the minutes.
Right. And it's normal though, considering what is going on, the circumstance. So it's normal. I'm not saying that y'all need to diagnose yourselves and say, all right, oh my God, Dr. Sarah said I'm bipolar. Dr. Sarah said I have schizophrenia. No, I didn't say any of that. Okay. This for educational purposes only.
You might feel like it at times.
Yes, there may be times that you feel like it, but okay, if you feel like it and you questioning, like, okay, am I really that now? Am I crazy? Am I touched? Then go ahead. Jon'll will give you my information so we can have a conversation.
Yes, sharing is caring.
If you find that you're still okay, you're able to shower, you're able to take care of your hygiene and groom and, cook and take care of your children and work, okay, here's what happens. This is what has to happen. Please extend the grace and courtesy to yourself to be okay, and extend the courtesy and the grace to yourself to not be okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay to not be okay. Mm-hmm. You have to now get in touch with your feelings and what your feelings are telling you. Again, we've been on autopilot for so long that we don't even really know ourselves enough. What the situation is saying to us, what our feelings are saying to us, what people are saying to us, our family, our loved ones, our own selves. So take the time to allow yourself to grieve. We are all grieving because it was like a death that happened. What we've known pre-pandemic is no more. Mm-hmm. And literally many of us have lost a loved one during this time. And the way that funeral arrangements are done now, or when a loved one had passed away and you couldn't even be by their bedside, you had to watch them on video. Everything has changed. Mm-hmm. So please don't rush the process or push yourself or feel like, well, I got to be strong. I can't be weak. Look, if you try to keep yourself from appropriately grieving, then it's going to turn into a mental health illness or issue. And then you're going to really have to see me. So to prevent from seeing me, give yourself that grace and that courtesy on how you feel, what's going on. You could be all over the place. It's okay. How you feel is how you feel. It's valid with how you feel. You have to tell yourself that. And then go through the grief process. There are going to be times that you're going to be angry. So the process is as follows. It's not necessarily in this, it's circular. It's not necessarily in this particular order. There's going to be times you're going to be angry. There's going to be times you're going to be depressed. There's going to be times you're going to be in denial. There's going to be times that you're going to bargain. And what does that mean? It means that tempting fate or wishing that, let's say that you lost a loved one. You're like, dang, I wish it was me instead of, Nana. I wish it was, me instead of my mom. Mm-hmm. It's okay. This is part of the grieving process. There's going to be a place where you're going to accept. And that is where you want to be. You may not accept that you lost a loved one. You may not accept that the fact that this happened and you weren't prepared for it, you didn't know what to do. Acceptance is more of the fact that, what? It just is. When you come to the place and say, what? It just is. When you allow yourself, and that is a strong word, allow. Yeah. When you allow yourself to receive the inspiration, the answers come, because what has to happen when we don't allow ourselves to grieve, we're allowing these emotions to stay trapped inside. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, now, if we don't get it out, it's going to impact us with our actions, our attitudes, and our behavior anyway. It has to come out. The emotions have to go somewhere. And if you still are strong enough and, being stubborn where you're still trying to keep it in, then that's when you're going to have to see me, because now it's going to take over you. So rather use this opportunity to allow yourself to grieve, to be angry, to be depressed, to be in denial, to bargain, to get to that place to acceptance. Because when you get to that place of acceptance to say it just is, it releases those emotions and those thoughts and feelings to make room for the answers to come in, for you to now see the light and see the way on what is the best situation or best strategy and opportunity that you have before you.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that you outlined the stages too, right? Because sometimes when we're going through all the different emotions, we're like, is this right? Is this, should I be feeling this way? And based on, you know, the stages that you just outlined, I would say I have literally experienced every single one of those, you know? So I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like, you know, I'm over here like, okay, why am I sad? But now why am I happy? But now why am I angry? Right. But now why am I anxious? But now, you know, but like you said, I mean, it is allowing yourself to grieve whatever was lost, because that looks different for every single person. Even though it looks different, I don't think any loss should be minimized. And we do that too. You know, like, I don't have a right to grieve because all I lost was, you know, my plans to go on summer vacation. Yeah, but those were your plans. And maybe that was your summer vacation that you needed, right?
Exactly.
Or you were looking forward to. So I'm like, you know, don't minimize it. And like you said, allow yourself to feel it and move through it. I literally had that same experience. Just actually pre-pandemic. I was grieving pre-pandemic. As I moved with my family to a new area, I had to allow myself to go through, you know, being angry. Like, why am I not where I was? You know,
right.
I didn't ask to come here. You know, just being angry, but then being sad for, you know, for the relationships, and, you know, but going through each one of those stages, like you said, and realizing that you have to allow yourself to do it so that you can get it out, because and not hold it in, because it will haunt you if you keep it in, you know. So I love that you really went through, you know, those stages, and that you use the word allow, because allow in my mind equates to what many of us don't do, which is give ourselves permission to do those things, right? You know, especially if we think we're supposed to be superwoman all the time.
Right, exactly. So I'm so glad of this conversation, and I love the word that, you know, just to whenever we're ready to bring it to a close, I want to emphasize that word through. A lot of times, because of this microwavable world that we're in as well, we want everything instant gratification. Sometimes, in my Jesus, Lord have mercy, God, I had to learn, y'all. This therapist had to learn. Okay, this PhD grad had to learn. Jesus, I was trying to. This is something that people don't know about me. I used to run track. Well, for those who didn't grow up with me, I used to run track, and I was a sprinter. I was not about that cross country life, y'all. I was about that sprint life.
Right. So you want it done. You want to get it done.
That's it. Okay. And see, I had to understand, and this is a word, y'all, catch this. I had to learn how to now pace myself on this cross-country road. Wow. See, I was trying to sprint on this cross-country tour, this journey, this road. But God was like, what you doing? You know what? Go ahead, Sarah, do that. Go ahead. You're going to, you know, go ahead. And when you have burnt yourself out, and when you are done being stubborn and not listening, and then you're going to say, you know what? Humble. You're going to humble yourself, and you're going to pray. You're going to seek my face and turn away from your wicked ways, all that good stuff from that
Listen,
Bible.
Y'all, I did not know we were going to church today.
I know, right, girl?
You are preaching. I'm talking about preaching. You on my street and everything. Stop it.
I'm telling y'all, I'm just trying to help y'all to save some time, because I tell you the truth, I was trying to sprint on this cross-country road. And then I had to now realize that I had to fit and pace myself on this cross-country road. Everybody, you use this opportunity to come to know who you are, to pace yourself on this cross-country road. Instead of the fact of trying to go over it, trying to go under it, trying to avoid it, trying to pass through it, trying to, you know, be blindsided by it, or not blindsided, but trying to, you know, get the blind eye with it, like you just act like it doesn't even exist. None of that is working for you. You have to talk back to us. How is it working for you? And if it's not giving you the results that you're looking for, then the answer has always been to go through it. When you go through it, you will be so amazed at how you become, because that's the answer too. Who are you becoming when you come out on the other side? We keep looking at it from a negative standpoint. Look at it from a positive. Shift your mindset from the negative to the positive. We already talked about the tools of what you need to do to now have a winner's attitude in this race, in this cross-country tour. Look at what you want to become. What do you want post-pandemic to look like? Mm-hmm. This is your opportunity to create it during the chaos. Create your calm during the chaos right now and use this opportunity to create what you want to see post-pandemic. So, I don't know. That's all I have.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm like, I just want to throw my water at you right now. I'm going to just throw it. If I can throw it through the computer.
Now, no, don't want to pass the election plate. So... My Cash App is,
Cash App. No, but really, it was so good because I'm like, cross country tour. Like, we are not on a sprint, know. No. And I have had to tell myself that time and time again. So I love that, and that's such a great way to close this out, because I do believe, when we look at it from that perspective, that this is a cross country tour, like this is a marathon. And thank goodness it is, because we get to go through it and see ourselves become
yes
we really are supposed to.
Yes, exactly. When
we get to the finish line.
Exactly.
So I love that. This was everything and more that I needed to hear tonight. And I think everybody else will agree too. And it gets us ready to step into, I call it my post-pandemic greatness. It gets us ready to step into our post-pandemic greatness, because there is greatness waiting on the other side.
Amen to that. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Sarah. Thank you so much for always.
It was fun.
Yes. I love talking to you. I could talk to you all day long.
Same here. I'm so glad that I pulled this out the last episode. I gotta be like, Janelle.
A proud member of the Head Wrap Ministry, which I love too.
That's another thing. I was like, okay, like I always, people who know me, I always get my hair done. Like I don't know really how to do hair. And so when I had wrapped this, I said, okay, well, I got to remember, how did Janelle do hers? So I was going to do what you did. And I said, I'm going to be different. I said,
but I like that. Yeah, you got the halo. That's the halo look. I like that. I like that.
If it was going to fall, I was like, I'll just keep talking and just, we're going to act like that never even. We'll keep going. Okay. The show must go on. But no, this was fun.
Keep going. Just keep going. I love it. Well, thank you so much. This was so good. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you took some nuggets away. Dr. Sarah shared so many good nuggets. And most importantly, I think the most important thing that I hope every single person here took away with is that this it really is a cross-country tour. It really is a time for you to understand that you get to take the steps according to your own pace. And whatever that is, whether that's, deciding when you're ready to get back at it, when you're ready to get back out there, how you're going to get back out there, what you want that to look like all of those things are part of this cross-country tour, because it's you taking your pace, you taking your race at your pace.
Yes.
And so I hope that if nothing else, that brings you some peace of mind and some comfort. So thank you guys. I appreciate you.